So I'm just presenting my screen. So I hope it's visible, guys. Yeah, I think my screen is visible. Perfect.
Yeah.
So guys, first of all, thank you so much for joining. I think thank you so much for taking time out on a Sunday. It means a lot because 1 hour is very, very critical for you at this juncture. Like assuming you all are preparing for Jan 26 or any other attempt, because the study phase is very important. So thank you so much for coming. And I assure it will be a great session. Like towards the end, you will be getting a lot of insights and most of your doubts will get cleared. So we'll just hop on to the session. So the first 20 minutes of your time, I'll just be taking it out and speaking and giving my insights. Post that you can ask all your queries and I'll be more than happy to address them. Yeah. So first, just proceeding. Just a moment. Yeah. So first, I'll just talk about the broad strategy. Next, I'll go with the subject-based plan. Third, I'll just be taking up all your questions. So first, if I have to go to the broad strategy, so I am assuming that all of you have a minimum of 4 months in your hand for preparation once you're done with classes and SPOMs. So your first revision, you can basically take 12 days out for each subject, excluding IBS. I mean, so on an average, I assume that you'll be taking out like 12 into 5, 60 days, which would roughly come out to 2 months. And you have to ensure that you write a mock test at the end of these 12 days. Let's say you're doing AFM for 12 days. On the 12th day, ensure that you're doing a mock test. Because if you don't do a mock test now, you will never do it in a second or third revision because your second or third revision is going to be even faster, even at a more rapid pace. So it's going to eat up a lot of your time when you do a mock test then and analyze because it will be too late for analysis is what I feel. And that's a mistake I did. Maybe if I had done that, I would have maybe done even better. That is something. And when you want to start a particular subject, like first cover the tougher topics and the topics that have high weightage. Because if you don't cover them in your first revision, it's going to get very difficult for you to cover them in the second revision. For example, if you take something like financial reporting, if you don't cover something like a financial instruments in your first revision, it is going to be very tough for you to cover it up in your second or third revision. So just keep this in mind. And for your second revision, you can take out like 5 days per subject. So this would take about 1 month roughly because you have 5 subjects into 5 days, 25 days. And in between, you can do a couple of days of IBS or whenever you feel like your mind is not really working, you can take your IBS case study digest, start solving it in between and do that. And you can also give a mock post this. Again, giving a mock post this is your mindset or is your personal choice because like let's say your first mock in itself goes well, you really don't need to give a mock now. It all depends on you. And next we come to the pre-climax, which is like the most crucial 1 month of your lives because it's just 1 month countdown for your CA finals to begin. So you can just take out 2.5 days per subject and plan like you have an exam after 2.5 days. So in this process around like 15 days would get consumed in this phase is what I presume roughly. So after this you'll be left with 15 more days. So in this 15 days you have to keep 5 days aside for FR because you obviously need 5 days to revise FR because 5 days is a time that is required because FR is a very very bulky and massive subject. You can even take 6 or 7 days and in the remaining 10 days or 8 days or 9 days after you allocate this, you can do the weak areas or you can brush up on what you wanted to brush up or something like that. So that is entirely your choice. So this is the scenario I will give to you if you have 4 months in hand. And I'm assuming that every one of you have 4 months in hand. So is that right? Like any one of you who has like lesser time or guys? Any one of you who has lesser time or like everyone has 4 months in hand, right? So that's not a problem, right? Okay, great, great. So I'm just proceeding. So just representing my screen. Yep. So, and there's an alternate to the same. So some of you might say that you will find it difficult to like study one subject for 12 days. You will feel the monotony creeping in. If you feel so, like I preferably would suggest you to do one subject at a time because you're 1.5 days before the exam. That is how you're going to be doing it. Your mind should be tuned to that. But in case you don't feel so, you can like do 2 to 3 subjects at a time as well because there have been people who've been cracking CA final with that strategy as well. So at the end of the day, it all depends on your comfort and the level of confidence you have in yourselves. So that is there. And something common which I want to tell you guys for all your subjects is like, for example, FR or AFM, you'll be taking it at the start of your articleship or when you just enter your articleship. So what would have happened is there would have been certain changes in the syllabus, in the study material, which would not have been there in your initial material. Just ensure that that is getting incorporated in the subsequent versions, either through an addendum, because most of the faculties, what they would do is they would issue an addendum in the Telegram group saying that these are the changes. So you can just make note of these changes or stuff like that. And what might sometimes happen is that there may be some questions in the MTP or RTP in the subsequent attempts, before which you had already purchased your classes. So you have to ensure that you're solving those questions also either basis your faculty's addendum that is given, or on your own by going into the ICA site and taking the same and solving it, because that is critical. Because let's say a question comes from that directly and it's a new question, you'll be stuck up in the exam and it'll necessarily unnecessarily be eating up a lot of your time. So that need not happen. So you can just be precautious about that. That is there, and don't have the fear of missing out, guys. Like, let's say your material has only 50 questions, someone else's material has 150 questions. Don't change your book for the sake of it. Like, be confident about your book, and that is the best thing to do, because like changing your book in the last minute is like kind of suicidal. So don't do that. So just stick to your material, believe in the process, and go for it. So this is probably the broad strategy which I just wanted to complete. So guys, you have any doubts in this, or can I just proceed further? I hope everything is clear.
Yeah. Also, can you cover something like I actually have very less time in hand. I have only say the next 2 3 months before exam leave. Say I
Hmm.
go for exam leave from September. I'll
Hmm.
be having only 4 months left,
Hmm.
and say I can only complete one subject before exam leave. So
Okay.
that okay. So if that is
So
going
yeah,
to
sure.
be a
So that
very
scenario,
rare
that is
case.
towards then, that is fine, right? Like, I'll just complete the
Yeah.
subject-wise strategies, and towards then I'll just take that up in an
Okay.
elaborate. So yeah. So
Yes.
I'm just
Yes. Okay.
representing my
Thank you.
screen. So just let me know if that is visible. Yeah. So I think next I'll go into the
Hmm.
subject-wise. Yeah. 1 second. Yeah, so for FR and AFM, I've like consolidated the strategy because more or less they are of a similar nature, barring certain differences. So these might have been the two subjects which you guys would have completed first. So brush up the concepts quickly. Like for example, you take someone like a Bhavik Chokshi sir, he has explained the concepts of these chapters in the most efficient manner on YouTube. Like in the shortest possible time, he's explained the concepts for FR and AFM in each of the chapters. He also has a podcast on Spotify which you can refer so that you brush up your concepts quickly, because these are subjects which are run very, very long back. So it'll be helpful in refreshing your mind and memory. Then what you can do is you can go through your concept notes and start solving sums. And in case you're stuck, don't open your book. Like think logically, like what has to be the answer. Like think in a synchronized manner as to what actually has to come, what actually shouldn't be coming. Then like assume that you're in an exam environment and start solving it. Suppose if you feel like you're eating up too much time in that process, no worries. Just open the book, check out the solution, then solve it, note it down so that you don't repeat the mistake in the future, or note it down so that you don't get stuck up in the future. Then filter out the questions which you found tough to solve, like so that it helps you in the last 5 days, because for FR you'll be taking out 5 days, but for AFM only be having 1.5 days. Then note down the intricacies of the question near the question for it to be helpful. For example, let's say you have a consolidation question. So in a consolidation question, maybe one adjustment might be tricky. Like for example, your intercompany elimination might be a straightforward adjustment, but there might be one adjustment that might be tricky. For example, your in relation to your inventory, the markup elimination might be a bit tricky. You might note that down saying this one was tricky for me. You don't need to go through the full question again. You just need to refer that adjustment and you will be done with the question. That is one thing. And for chapters like business combination, console, and your forex and AFM, set a timer and start solving the questions, because if you set a timer and start solving the questions, you'll be able to track where you're losing time or where you're getting stuck up. That will help you a lot. And since we have like 180 minutes in the paper and 100 marks, you can keep 1.8 minutes per mark, but there is no hard and fast rule that you have to solve every single 5 mark question in 9 minutes. It might take plus or minus certain minutes, because some questions might be actually worth 7 marks, but they might be getting asked in 5 mark questions. So it might also be a reverse scenario where a question is probably worth 3 marks, but it gets asked in the 5 mark question scenario. So there's no hard and fast rule. You can just do a plus or minus of few minutes and you can have a bit of deviation. That is perfectly fine. Then I say it takes a lot of assumptions in relation to rounding of grades, because I've seen copies where people have not got marks even though the answer matched perfectly with the certified with the suggested answer, because of the rounding of they did. So you can refer Ajay Agarwal sir's video on YouTube where he's explained like for each of the chapters, each of the concepts, how many digits should we be rounding it off to. So that is that. And IC also takes different stances in different chapters. For example, in interest rate risk management, for futures itself, it takes two contradictory positions in some of the questions. So you can just check out the questions where it is taking which position, and that will also be handy for your last year. You can just note that down in the backside of your notebook or your textbook. That will be really helpful. And your theory in FR and AFM, like especially your technology chapter in financial reporting, there are questions that are getting asked from there. In AFM, theory is also very important, like chapters like your securitization, startup, and your derivatives also. There's been a lot of new theory that's been added from the May 2024 attempt. So these things have a high probability of getting asked. So you just be prepared with these also. and theory is also scoring. Like, I'm sure you won't get full marks even if you write perfectly, but at least theory you can be assured that you're going to get, like, if it's a 4 mark question, you're going to get 3. That surety at least you can have, and there is no ambiguity in that as well. So that is there. And for last day revision for the 1.5 days, like Bhavik sir has a strategy video on YouTube for FR and AFM. You can refer that for your 1.5 days plan. He gives a particular order which is actually quite good. You can just tinker it according to your comfort and according to your strengths and weaknesses. That would be really good. So next I'm just proceeding to audit. So just a moment. So audit first, just a moment, guys. Just stopping sharing and just seeing if anyone else is joined. Okay, no one is there in the waiting room, so I'm just representing. Okay. Yeah. So audit, like, first understand everything you're reading, because even though you have to memorize things, like, understanding is of great importance, because only when you understand the question will you be able to, like, understand the requirement, and only then will you be able to replicate what you've actually memorized. So that is of great significance, because understanding is the first step, then memorizing is the second step. Then use a mix of mnemonics and logical flow to remember the answers. Like, for example, let's say there is a chapter like SA 315. Let's say there is a question in SA 315 on what are the limitations of internal controls. There is no point if you just remember a mnemonic. You need to understand the flow for the answer also, because let's say you are not able to recollect the mnemonic in the exam, your answer flow will help you to replicate the answer, and that will be of great use when you are not able to recollect the mnemonic in the exam hall. And for pronouncements, actually ICE is asking certain questions from pronouncements. I'm not denying that. So there are, like, I am not sure if many of you know. So there is someone called CA Pragnesh Kanabar sir, who has a Telegram group where he posts MCQs daily. So these MCQs are very good in nature, in the sense that they're, like, framed by him on his own, like, they're not taken from any source. So they also incorporate pronouncement concepts in them. So if you solve these MCQs, like, while you're taking a 10-minute break or a 15-minute break, they will be very, very helpful actually. I mean, in the sense that you are also staying in touch with the subject, and you're not doing any conscious effort to study pronouncements, but you're also getting accustomed to pronouncements in that way. So that would be great. And there are also other groups like Shubham Keswani sir's group and Vikalp Da's group, which are good for MCQs also. You can solve those questions also, because I feel for FR and AFM, you don't really need to solve MCQs. Like, it's great if you have conceptual clarity. If you have time, you can definitely do it. But for audit, I would suggest you guys to solve MCQs, because audit, the 70 marks of theory correction is kind of very subjective and kind of unpredictable. So I would suggest you guys to probably focus a lot on MCQs and see how close you can get to the 30 marks. That is important. And another thing is, like, you have to remember your SA, SRE, SRS, SAE, your professional ethics, CARO, and ESG numbers. The clause numbers are very important, because if you don't write the clause number, or if you write the wrong clause number, you will lose a major chunk of your score in that particular question. That is there. And it is suggested to revise audit along with other subjects. This is something I missed, because if you're able to revise audit along with other subjects, the retention actually remains there. It remains fresh in your memory, and you will be able to present it better. And write and practice audit, this is again something I missed, because we are all able to say the answers well when we are, like, practicing in thin air, but it is tough for us to replicate it on pen and paper unless we do it before. So again, as I told, taking up mocks and writing a couple of questions and practicing, that would do a great deal of help to you guys. Then just keep in mind that audit requires a lot more efforts than other subjects merely to cross the line. So don't take it for granted. So keep the effort high, because it could be a showstopper, and I don't want the paper to be a showstopper for you guys. So do focus on it even more than the other subjects. It's really important, because the reality is that IC doesn't care about how good you're in audit practically, but they want to know how well you can replicate the answers, how well you have an understanding of what the examiner is asking, and how well you've actually replicated the same. That is really important. And as I said, build a strong base in FR and AFM, because the correction is kind of unpredictable in audit. So, like, it's better to have a secure score in FR and AFM and give your best in audit. Like, attempt all the 100 marks in audit, because the more you attempt, the more the chances of you getting marked better are there, obviously. And for last day strategy, again, you can refer Shubham Keswani sir's video. Like, he gives a plan for the 1.5 days, which is actually good. And again, you can tailor it according to your requirements. And you can look to cover professional ethics and a few other concepts on the day when you come back from AFM, because professional ethics is one of the biggest things there. And professional ethics does not require a lot of retention as against something like an ESE or an automated environment. So professional ethics you can look to cover on the same day when you're back from the exam, and usually Shubham Keswani sir does a marathon of this live. If you feel like the live marathon is a bit slow for you, you can actually watch a recorded video which he's already done at maybe 1.5x. That would help you a lot. So this is what I felt for audit. And maybe next I'll just move to group 2 direct tax and indirect tax. So anything you have, guys, or you want to stop me anywhere, or I hope that is fine. So I'm just proceeding with direct tax and indirect tax as well. Just a moment. Just presenting my screen. Sorry, just a moment. Yeah, so for direct tax and indirect tax, again, I made a common strategy. So just ensure that you're understanding the logic behind each of the provisions. And that is very important, because if you don't understand the logic and simply mug up the provision, like let's say you're not able to recollect the provision in exam, it would be very tough. But if you studied it logically, you might be able to make sense, connect the dots together and try something. So that might be useful. Next is stay updated with the amendments relevant for attempt. That is very, very important, because amendments are frequently tested. You get a sizable portion of your paper from amendments. That is really important. And take conscious effort to remember the numerical and time limits, guys. I know it is hard. I know you would be feeling like, why do we have to do this at CF, and why do we have to retain things when we can just refer the book after we qualify? But you have to, guys. There is no other go. The system is like that. You have to accept the system and move on. It might change in the near future. It might not change. But right now, the scenario is that you need to remember, no other go. Then for direct tax, you can use Yash Khandelwal sir's PDF for DT time limits and numerical limits. It was good. It's a very, very good reckoner for your last year revision. And for penalties also, he's made a good chart which you can refer from his Telegram channel, which was very good, because ICA is also asking a lot of questions on penalties of late in direct tax. And for indirect tax, Tarun sir's limits PDF for the time limits and the numerical limits is available on his site. Again, that was also very good, very comprehensive. You can refer that. And for DT and IDT, every adjustment that you're going wrong, just note it down on the backside of your book, like similar to FR or AFM, as I said, because you don't need to refer the whole question. You just need to go to that adjustment, refer that, get comfort that, okay, I've referred this, this is done. I can just close that question and move on, because you can save a lot of time in this. And for ITC and PGVP, what I've been seeing of late is that, like, there are a lot of adjustment sheets that are going out in the market, which are really good. But what the problem is that ICA is also asking adjustments from nook and corner in PGVP and ITC also. So if the adjustment sheets which you are probably using are not updated for this, do update those also in your adjustment sheet. That would be great. Then if you do the about two things right, you can actually save a lot of time in the 1.5 days, because PGVP is like one of the biggest chapters in direct tax. ITC is like one of the biggest chapters in indirect tax. So if you have these ready in a chart form or in a tabulated form, it will be really easy for you to revise in the 1.5 days, and you can like save plenty of time. That is what I feel. And for TDS and chapter 60 also, what I would suggest you is to consolidate all the rates in one place. Like let's say if there is a reduction of 1,50,000 in a particular section, you can consolidate the other sections where the same limit is applicable, so that you don't get confused. You can make a chart, and you can just refer that. And in the chart also, you can note a couple of critical points applicable to that section alone, which are exclusive in nature, so that you don't need to like open your whole book again and read the 50 or 60 pages of TDS. You can save a lot of time on that, because again, in your TDS and chapter 6, you will definitely be asked a question in your direct tax paper for at least 5 marks. So that is definitely going to be asked. So again, you will be saving a lot of time. And you have to practice. And again, for DT, time is very critical, because DT is again a lengthy paper similar to FR. So you have to be careful about your time. You have to plan your time, and mocks are going to be very helpful in that aspect. And in the last 1.5 days, especially for DT, you might find it difficult to revise certain chapters, but don't skip any chapters in DT, because DT paper is kind of becoming unpredictable. And for that matter, I think all papers are becoming unpredictable, because IC is picking questions from nook and corner as well, which were earlier untested. So make sure that you revise every single thing in that 1.5 days. You can watch revision videos of faculties even if you're not able to open the book. So at least that would be the best thing you can do. And for DT, you can see Banvar's last year revision strategy, and for IDT, Tarun Raj's last year revision strategy was good. You can refer them on Telegram, and you can like customize them according to your comfort. That would be really helpful. So these are a few things which I wanted to say for DT and IDT. So next, I'll just move to IBS. I think everything is fine, guys. You guys have anything, or I'll just proceed to IBS, and I think after that we'll be done. So I can proceed with IBS, right? Okay, great. I'm just moving to IBS. So just a moment. Yeah, okay. So for IBS, I could not prepare much, because I had the other subjects as well, which had to be revised, which took a lot of time. So what I did was, so two of my friends, we sat together, we revised the November 24 RTP. So that's what we did. We didn't look at any case study digest actually, to be very honest. So there were some things which I did right in IBS. So I had proper indexes for all the faculty books I was carrying. So that is very important. And let's say you're not studying a particular subject from ICS study material. Let's say you're referring it from your faculty book. Refer it from the faculty book in the exam also. No need to open your ICS study material. Like let's say it's not there in your faculty book, then open ICS study material, and also carry your ICS study materials also along with you just in case. That's because let's say if something is very very minute or very very irrelevant, it might not be there in your faculty's book, but it might be there in the corner of the ICS study material. So just in case, you can open your ICS study material and write it. And ICA case study digest, you can use it for solving the case studies, but don't open it in the 4 hours of your exam, because ICA seldom repeats questions from there. And if you start searching for the questions, you will end up wasting time, because mostly questions are not even repeated from there. Because ICA obviously knows that you have the book in your hand, and even if they repeat, you will search and write it. So it's just a psychological game where ICA wants you to waste time searching, because they also know that questions are not going to be asked from there. So don't do that. Worst case, even if something gets repeated, it's perfectly fine. You can refer your faculty books or ICS study material and write the answer from there. You don't need to like search and waste time, because many of my friends did this mistake and they ended up wasting some time in the process. And in the 15 minutes of reading time, I kept the answers ready for the first case study, and that helped me write my answers at a good pace. Because if you keep your answers ready for the first case study, you'll be able to complete it in like 40-45 minutes. And you'll have some extra time left, which you can use to crack the other case studies in case they are difficult. You'll have some buffer left, which is always good on any particular day. So that is there. And there'll be 20 questions of 25 marks each, out of which you can write any 4 out of 5 questions. So don't spend too much time in reading and searching for the question you shouldn't attempt. Just look at the subdivisions in a particular question. Let's say you find that subdivision to be lengthy or time consuming, skip that question and move to the other question and attempt it. Like, don't spend too much time thinking about which question to attempt, because you have your book and you can definitely attempt anything. So that is never a problem, is what I feel. Next, I made a few mistakes in this process as well, which I just want to be sharing. Just a moment. Mistakes I committed was I referred my book even for the questions I knew actually. So you could save time by not referring the book for the questions you know. You can just confidently move on and write it from your memory as well. Like especially for MCQs, you don't need to open your book and see unless it's like a time limit or a numerical limit. You can save a lot of time there. And next point is I didn't do significant case study practice by referring ICA case study digest. That is a mistake I did. Maybe that would have helped me improve my pace or boost my score. And again, mocks are important. Don't take IBS for granted, because ICA is actually enhancing the level of IBS as well. So take mock seriously for IBS. And next one is a few things to be kept in mind. So be active on Telegram, because if your exam application is released, you might not be aware that it is even released, because you can't be checking the site real time every single time. And sometimes you might feel like you don't remember what you actually studied. It's pretty natural and perfectly fine, because you're studying a huge syllabus, and it's natural. It happens to everyone, even to rankers, even to AR1. This issue happens, so it's perfectly fine. And carry your hall ticket, ID proof, and a government ID as well, because sometimes what might happen is your signature might not be like clearly visible on your hall ticket. Your invigilator might not be confused. They might ask for some other government document. So in that time, your PAN card might be useful, because your PAN card has a signature. So carry it, because this happened with one of my seniors. His signature was not very clear. They made him wait for like 15 minutes of his reading time. He was robbed of that time. So this is something which is important. And then first fill the front page using a pencil, because one of my friends, he made this mistake. He used a pen to fill and he wrote one number wrong, because of which he had to change his answer book itself. So this was a big problem. He lost like 20 minutes in this process. And next is, don't start with the first question of the paper, guys. It will be tough. I say psychologically plays with you, because it will be lengthy and tough. Just keep in mind that you have only 4 questions with 2.5 hours time, and you start off in that manner. And another thing that might happen is there might be some questions which might be wrong in the paper. So I've addressed it actually below. Anyways, I'll maybe come to that point next. So then attempt MCQs in the middle of the paper, because if you start off with MCQs, you'll feel like you have a lot of time left, but you actually don't have a lot of time left. You eat up time when you start with MCQs. Do them in the middle of the paper, because you will look to complete them as soon as possible when you're in the middle phase rather than the start phase. And when the examiner gives the exam booklet, ensure that you're getting the correct one, because what happened in one of the centers, to the best of my knowledge, was that they got the IBS booklet for the normal papers, like one of the normal subjects, and they also started writing without realizing that. And it took them a lot of their time. They had to rewrite their answers in the normal booklet. That was a problem that happened. And carry an extra calculator and extra stationery, and most importantly, write using your black pen only, because if you write using any other color pen, your paper won't be evaluated, unfortunately. So please don't do that mistake. And don't discuss answers after exam. Like don't discuss your answers after exam. Don't look at your MCQ solutions, because it might affect your next paper's progress. Let's say if you've done a particular question wrong, that will get carried forward to the next paper as well. So and carry your water bottles and stay hydrated. Like use ORS also wherever possible, and carry a towel to avoid sweat falling on a paper as it could lead a situation where the ink gets bloated and your paper like the ink goes off and stuff like that. You don't want that to be happening. And visit the exam center at least once and start early to avoid last minute hiccups, especially for IBS, because you need to carry your books all the way up the stairs. And if your center doesn't have a lift, you have to like climb up the stairs and carry the books, because some centers don't allow others also to help you in carrying the books. You have to do that hard work all on your own. So read very very early, especially for IBS, and ensure that you get at least 6 hours of sleep before the exam, because good sleep ensures a fresh mindset and it also affects your performance directly. You perform well if you sleep well. And if there's any wrong question in your paper, for example, we had that in November 24 in AFM. I made a mistake, I got stuck up there, and my hard luck was that I actually took up two wrong questions. And I was wondering about what the solution was, and I was not arriving at the solution. And that actually ate up a lot of time in my paper and it affected my paper. Just keep 5 minutes time if you're not able to crack any question. Give it 5 minutes maximum extra. If you feel that it's not getting cracked, it's okay. Just chuck that, move on to the next question, start doing it. Don't let that affect you. I know it's easier said than done, but I think if you do mocks, I think you will be able to get past this, because mocks will expose you to such environments. And preferably go and write mocks in an external place, not in your home, because if you do that outside your comfort zone, it will give you an exam sort of condition as well. So that is something which I would advise you. And lastly, guys, so the final act. So I'm sure that you have great clarity over what you need to do and how you need to get it done and what mistakes you shouldn't be doing. And I can say with 100% for confidence that you all are feeling pumped up and motivated now. But I just want three promises from your end. So put in your 110% every single day. Cut out every single distraction you have, be it your smartphone or Netflix or social media. You might argue saying that you will control your usage, but think practically, guys. Only 1 out of 100 people can actually do that, and it's very unlikely if we are in the one. I'm sure I was not in the one, so I cut that out completely. And this isn't a dry run where you can see if you're able to control or not. It's okay. Like take a conservative stance, cut out from all your distractions, and this is a quote from Hasi which I love. Like anything that stops you from giving your 100% is a distraction. So just be trained and smart enough to identify distractions and cut off from them in the right time. And put in 110% for those who believe in you. There would have been a lot of people who doubted you when you started this course. And most importantly, as a 17-year-old kid, you all would have believed that you would make this possible. And this is the perfect opportunity for you all to make it possible, for you all to make it happen. So just do it. And only 10% of the population clears CA finals in the very first attempt. And doing so lays the road ahead for some amazing opportunities. So go for it, guys. And it would be a cherry on the cake. So if you can contact me, you can contact me on these platforms. Just a moment, guys. Well, yeah, guys. So I'll just take up the questions now. So if you have any questions, most welcome to ask me. So like one of the questions I got was from Ramanujan. So any other questions, any if you have, like, or I'll just take that up first. Yeah, so I think I'll take up the question which I got from Ramanujan. So yes, I think if you have like completed one subject and if you have the other subjects pending, I think the best you can do is probably start studying that one subject and like do classes like in the first half of the day and like study in the second half of the day. That is something you can do. And it's like you would have to maybe compromise one round of revision, like in the sense I mentioned 3 rounds of revision. Maybe you would have to like probably stick around with 2 rounds of revision. Like the third round would be very tough to do, because if you have the other subjects pending. So what I would suggest is maybe like as in when you start doing the classes, you can do a revision along with that as well, because a third round of revision would be tough. So that is something which you can probably end up doing. So that's what I feel. So I think it will be tough if you have classes left, but I think this is the best option you can do. Like don't watch classes alone the entire day, because you need to revise as well. So you can watch classes in one half of the day, and in the other half of the day you can probably revise the subjects or revise whatever subject for which you watch the lecture. So anything else you have, actually, guys? Or
This is for the last 4 months.
sorry?
This is you're saying this for the last 4 months, right? There is
Yeah.
4 months
So
before
if
exam.
you have anything, any lecture left in the last 4 months, I'm saying yeah.
Okay.
So if you have any lectures left in the last 4 months, this is probably something
Hmm.
which you end up doing. Yeah.
Okay. And is it better to go for both groups, whether or not I'm done with all the subjects, or is it like somehow is it squeeze in all 5 subjects before exam and go for both groups?
I think you have to try to squeeze in and try your best. I think first, I think when you start, have the mindset that you want to go for both groups, then track your progress at
Okay.
the end of like second month. Then you decide whether you want to go for both groups still. And if you're comfortable, definitely go for it. Or else it's fine. You can take one at a time. But when you start off, start with the mindset that you want to go for both groups. Take the call of
Okay.
whether one group or two groups at the end, like at the end of maybe 2 months.
Okay.
Yeah. So any of you have any other doubts, guys? Or maybe we can wrap up the session in the next 2 minutes. I just want to speak like a couple of things with you, after which we can just probably wrap up the session. Any of you have anything else or any questions? Okay, so I don't think any of you have any questions. So maybe I just want to say a couple of things, post which I'll just wrap up the session. So just a moment, guys. Just give me a moment. So just presenting my screen. So what I want to say was, if you guys want to reach me out, you can reach me out on my YouTube channel. If you want to comment anything, you can just comment down below and subscribe to my channel. And on LinkedIn, you can text me on LinkedIn. I'll be more than happy to respond. And on Telegram, you can reply to me. You can text me on Telegram as well. I have a Telegram group by this name, CA by Arvind Yatindra Srivatsai. You can join the group and you can ask me any subject related queries as well. I'll try my best to resolve that. And if you want to personally text me on Telegram, this is my Telegram ID. You can text me here at arvindys1010. And if you want to reach me over email as well, this is my email ID from which you would have received the invite for this meeting. So more than happy to help you out, guys. So thank you so much for being into the session. It means a lot. I think thank you for your time on a Sunday, because Sunday is very critical in a CA aspirant's life, especially in a CA finalist day, because of the articleship pressure and all of that. So I think thank you so much for making it, and I hope you all had a great time. So one last call, guys. I'll just be wrapping up the session. In case you want anything, I will be more than happy to respond, or we'll just be done for the day. So what do you say, guys?
The rest, I think I'll get it on Telegram. I'll text you on Telegram to uh,
Sure.
for more guidance.
Thank you, Trapti. Thank you. So getting a thank you message. So thank you, guys. Thank you so much. I hope you had a good session. Thank you for your time. Thank you. I had a great time. So thank you so much,
Okay.
guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for the messages. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much. Thank you.